And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing?
About what?
About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated.
I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support, so I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
Hello, America. It's time to check the nonsense at the door, clear the cobwebs between your ears, and have a rational-ish conversation. This is the lost art of common sense. That's right, America. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is the lost art of common sense, brought to you by our merch shop.
Merch! Right here.
It's good quality stuff, good quality designs. Got a little, I don't know, we probably don't got something for everybody, but check it out. Links below. Even though I said I always put the link in like I did last week, I forgot to put it last week's episode or this week's episode. So it will be in the link below. But I think if you go to Etsy and put in Lost Comment, it comes up or something like that. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
The link will be below. And as Kevin loves to affectionately say about our merch,
buy our shit.
That's right. We might actually have to make that a shirt. Now that we got the business action, make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know what you think of the episode. If you have any input on the episodes, be sure to comment below, and we'll bring it up in the next episode, even if it's
share our shit.
Share our shit. This week, we're talking about, as the title said, free speech is dead. I think it has been for a long time. And in this episode, we're going to kind of explain kind of the repercussions from that. As you saw in the opening clip, I think that kind of feeds into how you get people like that. Well, let's get right into the questions. Kevin, in your words, explain the difference between free and accepted speech.
Okay, well, free speech, obviously, you can have counter arguments. You can say what the hell you want and not be hindered, not be shot down or silenced. Accepted speech is basically it's speech that is all of one opinion, and any counter opinion is silenced or berated or called misinformation, or you just don't hear it because it is not readily available because you're being silenced. That's how I see it. Maybe you see it a different way, but basically free speech is I would say it's the free, it's like a mind pool or something. I don't know how you call it, but you get arguments, counter arguments, you get, with free speech is more, I would say not innovation, but like innovative thinking. You're not limiting yourself to one set of thought, where that is accepted speech. Accepted speech is, there's one thought, there's no outside thought. Follow this, or you're not going to be listened to or allowed to be listened to.
Yeah, I would agree with. I would agree with most of that. I mean, because in my understanding, like the way I see it, is free speech is someone's ability to say what's on their mind or what they believe in, or what just you're looking up something, you want to talk to somebody about it, whatever. And then like we ran into it with our monkeypox episode where it got deleted off of YouTube because we made half of it about COVID and said all the bad things you're not supposed to say.
At the time.
Now you can say whatever you want, and it turns out we were right. So
we were right about most of it. I don't know. I haven't listened to that one in a while.
We were really wrong about anything.
I don't think we were wrong about anything, actually.
No, we weren't. And that's the sad part, though, when you talk about, and like, I'm not saying that everybody has to listen to you. Like, oh, I have free speech, you have to listen to me, or if I put something like everyone has to have like everyone should have access to listen to whoever they want. That's why I'm saying that free speech is dead and has been for a long time, because it just, you don't have it anymore. Like you have, and if you try to get in a conversation with somebody on the left, more like, I mean, I'll listen to somebody on the left. It's hard to have a rational conversation with somebody on the left because they get very emotional and uppity, but like they will not reciprocate that. Like as soon as you start chipping away at their reality, they like, the blue hair gets bluer.
And it just gets like all electric shocky, and like they get into a rage. Yeah, I don't know, like some like Dragon Ball Z. Have you ever seen that where he gets into like like super
Yeah.
Dragon Ball mode, and he gets like all like shiny, and I don't know. I've seen like one thing.
Has that ever
But
happened
it's
to you,
like
Kevin?
they get so angry. They get so angry, like the Hulk,
Yeah, it's
and then they just lash out, and they don't. I mean, what were we talking about today? Oh, I remember a lot of times when people were criticizing Trump or something, and like somebody on the left, and they would always go to that, well, at least he doesn't like Nazis, because good people on both sides. And I'll be like, well, obviously you didn't do your research or don't care to, because you didn't read the whole statement or listen to his whole speech. You just took the part that the media said and just ran with it as if that was truth. I mean, things like that, Then they get all like, well, no, you're just a Nazi too. You wanna kill everybody, and fascist.
it is always funny when a fascist calls somebody a fascist. And I do want to make the extinction, make sure there's a difference. I can't think of the word. Distinction, yeah. That I do not. When I'm talking about free speech, I'm not talking about the First Amendment, even though recently we've had problems with the federal government, and they say, "Oh, we're just making suggestions," but them actually silencing speech through proxies. Kind of like how Iran uses proxies, so does the Democrat federal government to silence their uh, opponents. But do you think accepted speech, like, how does that relate to the First Amendment, and or does it?
It depends. Let's say, if the government is the one silencing you, like on social media, then yes, it absolutely applies to the First Amendment, because First Amendment really only means you can say whatever you want and the government can't go after you for it, or any kind of governmental agency can't go after you for it. But I mean, let's look at these colleges. There's people saying all this hate shit on college campuses that are state funded, which is fine. They can say that shit, but then they're also infringing on the rights of the people who are trying to freely move about to college, go to class. Jewish kids aren't allowed to go. Jewish professors aren't allowed to be on site because there might be harm done to them. I mean, these are rights that people also have to have, but yet, so yes, it's I don't know. It's a gray area, I guess, because they have the right to protest, but they're not supposed to be impeding on other people's right to go about their lives as well. So, I mean, it's not the First Amendment, but I don't know.
Well, and that's why this episode, because I wanted to talk about this because of the riot. Protests. I think you're right, though. I don't think people understand what the First Amendment is, because, well, for one thing, I don't think you should be able to go out and be protected by free speech if you're chanting death to America or death to anything.
I think you can.
How is that not inciting violence? All the
Now,
protests.
You can say death to America. You can say death to a certain race or whatever. What you can't do is say death to that guy because that's a direct threat. That's a difference.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That chant incites violence. It's a call for violence.
They're supposed to stop it. I mean, you have the right to protest freely, but you're not allowed to, once it starts getting violent, that's when that protest is supposed to be shut down.
I mean, isn't it the left that says speech is violence?
Wow. Yeah, but it's not.
But I'm
That's
just saying, going off of what they say.
They're a bunch of wet diapers.
They are. I just don't. I think you can say you don't like the government or shit like that, but I have a problem with people chanting "death to America" because where that came from, it came from people who would literally be more than happy and are probably planning to murder Americans.
I agree 100%, but you have the right to say it. That's the difference. That's the difference between this country and Canada.
Well, that's another thing I don't get, though, other than optics.
Because it'd be the same thing as if you said, fuck Joe Biden.
That's not the same thing.
I mean, if I
guarantee you, and I would not say it, I guarantee you, if you started chanting for the death of the current president, you would get a knock on your door.
No, because that's a direct threat to a single person.
Okay, say Congress. That's a group of people. That's not an individual.
Yeah, but it's not fucking America. You can't, because, seriously, you have to be, you can't just say you can't say it.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that's,
sorry. No, that's not, the fucking, then you don't have freedom of speech. That's freedom of fucking speech. No matter how much you hate it.
It falls under the same.
You have the free.
It falls under the same thing as saying fire in a movie theater. Same thing.
It's not the same thing because you can't say fire in a movie theater. Once it incites a panic, that's what you get in trouble for. Well, that's when it becomes something. But if it doesn't incite a panic, you're not in trouble. You're just an idiot that yelled fire in a fucking movie theater and people went about their business. Here's the thing.
At these protests, people are being injured.
Well, then that's the difference.
Some lady got stabbed in the eye with a Hamas or Palestinian flag.
Yeah, obviously, then that's the difference.
I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying.
Once violence happens, then there's a line that has been crossed.
So maybe I'm saying we've crossed the line, Kevin, and you should just get on board. Shut up.
No, you can say whatever you want. Now, there's always consequences to whatever you say, but you can say whatever you want. And we've said this from the beginning. You can say whatever racial slur you want, but especially the white ones. But
nobody cares about those.
That's at the end of the show. So listen through for the white slur of the week. But you can say whatever you want, but there's somebody punches you in the face for it,
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
For what you said.
You do not have a constitutional right to take up a section of land on a private or public university and say that shit. The university can shut them down.
They have. You know what the fuck happened? They've shut them down. They sent them to jail.
Here's what's pathetic
New York immediately let them out, and they went right back there.
Yeah, and they're negotiating with protesters. You know how Reagan dealt with protesters? He threw them all in jail.
You know how Kent State dealt with protesters?
Well, it wasn't Kent
I'm just saying.
It was the National Guard. It was a very sad day in America.
I'm just saying. That's how they dealt with it.
But, I don't know. It's just, and you can't tell me that this doesn't have a 2020 vibe to it. Hard.
It does, because they're kowtowing to the whole Democratic Party is kowtowing to these anti-Semites because they don't want to lose Dearborn, Michigan.
Well, and they think that the video from October 7th is fake.
Oh, they believe a lot of things.
It's like, oh no, that's just Hollywood. That wasn't a real baby thrown in an oven.
Yeah,
that was all. That's all fake.
People are AI generating that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I think it'd be funny.
It was completely generated with that woman just laying across, all beaten and naked and bleeding.
Well, but think about fake. It's just another example of, now granted, I'm pretty sure there's professional agitators in these protests. And then people that literally
Soros is funding these people.
Well, and I'm sure there are actually people that are real Hamas
Soros
supporters.
Also funded a bunch of people during fucking BLM riots.
Well, and that's why, but it shows you how pathetic and how big of losers college students are nowadays. Because the
Well,
only
look at
reason
that
these
video.
people are there is because they have no self identity. So they want to identify with something. And like, hey, let's identify
Yeah.
with people chanting, cheering for a terrorist group.
God, I hope I'm correct on this. I hope. Look at the video we played before the start of the show. Is that the one? I mean,
The two girls, where it's like, I don't know what we're here for.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing there. They're just there because it's the hip thing to do.
We're just here to support fellow students.
I mean, that's it. There's like probably a group of 10 people, and people just start latching onto them and latching on, and it's group mind. And you know, people are fucking stupid. College kids obviously are the dumbest of all.
Well, what I always thought would be interesting to do is they took up the square or the quad or whatever the hell they call it, right? So you set up barricades and barricade them into it, and then you take those giant 80, 100-inch screen TVs, surround the entire quad, and play that 20-minute, 25-minute video from shot by Hamas while they're slaughtering innocent people, and then play it with audio, loud as fuck, so there's no plug in your ears to avoid it, and just keep it on a loop for like 4 hours, and then see how everybody is after that.
Yeah, I just don't. I think this is like going back to Gen Z thing. This is the problem with the internet age, the app age, the social media age. These kids, like when we were young, we were independent. I mean, we were riding our bikes, we were out, we were doing stuff ourselves. These kids are just like latching on to these groups and these social things, and like, you know, like TikTok, and you know, it's all about popularity and clicks and likes. So you're going to follow a large crowd because they have no self-identity. So they're just going to follow whatever large crowd there is.
I think it's funny too, because all that shit on the internet's fake. It's all short-lived. Like none of that lasts. So yeah, I don't know. Well, so I know that especially since Trump got in, but I think if you thought about it enough, you could go back quite a ways. But how long do you think this free speech versus accepted speech has been around? Like, where do you think it started as far as the U.S. goes?
Well, I think it's always been around in some way, some form, especially once the 60s started. You know, I think people are silenced then, you know. But I think it just took another fucking, like, it went from like a 10 to 1,000, and like once Trump got elected.
Yeah.
Like,
and you can make the argument in the 60s though, like granted it was a bunch of hippie D-bag protesters, but they were protesting the Vietnam War where nobody could figure out why we were there, and people were being drafted for it. Like, I would say that's a pretty legitimate reason to protest, but there's right ways of protesting and there's wrong ways of protesting. Like, nobody says, and here's what pisses me off about, for one thing, Israel is not committing genocide. I don't care what anybody says. Are there a lot of civilian casualties?
No, could they? Yes. You know what they could
easily
do? Fucking make that fucking part, that whole area glass.
Yeah, I mean, it's not genocide at all. There's a lot of civilian casualties because of Hamas.
Yes.
And that's what pisses me off, because nobody talks about, you know, why aren't they protesting and calling for Hamas to give up?
Ceasefire?
No, to give up or give up the hostages. Stop using their own citizens as cannon fodder and, you know, body armor, basically.
Why don't they fucking agree to a ceasefire? They've rejected every ceasefire because they know the U.S. is not behind Israel 100%. They know it. They know that Israel, or the U.S., is kowtowing to terrorists. So why would they quit?
Well,
why?
If you notice the way these even 2020 was the same way. They never addressed the core problem of why. I mean, for one, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say George Floyd died of a drug overdose, mostly because it showed all the signs. He died
of a drug overdose?
And the video came out that showed that the dude's knee was not on his neck, but, you know, whatever. But any almost any police shooting video you see, when the video comes out and you watch it, the person that got shot was not listening to the cop. They're being very confrontational, and as soon as you start getting confrontational with a cop, their stress level gets higher because they deal with generally the shit part, like on calls and stuff. They don't deal with the best of society. Traffic stops, whatever, it's whatever, whoever. But when you're not complying, stress goes up, and then chances for something bad happens. Same thing with this. It's like they're complaining about this, but they're not complaining on how we got there. Like,
yes,
and I think that's done on purpose. I think that's done on purpose to, because then you got half. I think you got well over. I don't think this protest is going to work like 2020 did.
No, 2020, like even like most people are like, yeah, racism's bad.
Yeah.
No one's like, hey, terrorists could be right.
Well, they didn't even like, if they would have stayed with, trying to protect innocent Palestinian lives, they might have held on to more. But once they started chanting, "We are Hamas, death to America, death to Israel, from the river to the seas," it's like, I'm guaranteeing you lost a mass majority of the country.
Well, you have to figure right after Iran, started shooting missiles at Israel. Like the next day, people were that's when that's when Chicago happened, when they blocked O'Hare, and they're blocking highways and shit because they didn't want Israel to attack Iran, who is like the biggest terrorist supporter in this fucking world. I mean, these people are anti-American, and most of this shit is happening because of these open border policies. Half these people probably wouldn't even be here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, well, here's another thing too. The reason why this one's sticking around as long as it is because if you notice, other than, and I don't think you're going to be seeing a lot of protests in a whole lot of red areas anymore. After
you don't see it in the South.
Well, after DeSantis, smack down that one real quick, but they do it in areas where they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, UT Austin did. There's a little bit of violence there.
But apparently I think UCLA canceled their graduation this year because the valedictorian had a speech that was pretty anti-Semitic. So they canceled. It was either a valedictorian or just a speaker for their graduation. So they canceled her, and instead of just finding someone new, or when they canceled the person, I think
was it like their celebrity or their guest speaker?
Yeah, and I think it was a woman, but I guess they were going to protest, so they're just like, we're not having a graduation. And someone brought it up, like, you got to think the graduating class this year is probably the same class that didn't have a high school graduation because of COVID. And then they had to do a bunch of virtual fucking learning. So, like, those people are going to be even more fucked up.
Yeah, and there are going to be people who are fucking bitching about fucking not making enough money or not getting good jobs.
Yeah, when they do this shit in places where the people in charge that would stop it are beholden to the DEI woke left-wing bullshit.
You have to figure it. I mean, it's not all college kids, obviously. It's probably 10, maybe 20% of them. Probably even less than that are most college kids, I'm guessing, just want to go to school. I hope. Just want to go to school, go to class, graduate, drink some beers, have some fun, stuff like that. I don't think a lot of them are like, but you have to figure like these people didn't get to graduate high school. Now, 10% of their classmates are ruining it for all of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean it's obviously bad, and it's not getting any better.
I say UCLA is probably maybe a little higher because California.
Yeah, stupid. And it is bad, and it's not getting any better. I mean, how do we combat this? Is there even hope of making anything better or any kind of change in a good way? Because I don't think just shutting them down, and this goes to with free speech too. And I think,
but let's go back.
Coming down on them hard isn't necessarily going to fix it because a lot of the protesters from the 1970s, a lot of those people actually became domestic terrorists and killed people. Like they became so radicalized that they became domestic terrorists.
I think the best way to combat this is, I don't know, you almost have to reset colleges.
Like with love?
No, no.
No.
With just straight learning. Stop, you know, there's, and the problem is half of these professors agree with these terrorists as well.
I do think they need to get rid of tenure. I get why that was originally conceived, but they need to get rid of that.
I mean, there's a problem when, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, I think UAE, a bunch of Middle Eastern countries are sending billions of dollars to our colleges. There's a problem with that. There's obviously a reason for they're doing it. They're not just doing it for the fuck of it.
Kevin, they're just doing that to keep them from developing 0-point energy devices. So we keep buying their oil.
Yeah, probably.
Writing on the wall, buddy. Writing on the wall.
There's already 0-point energy. So
it has been for 100 years.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying, like, we don't need the Saudis to tell us to keep us from doing it. It's already here. It's our own government doing that. So, but no, I mean, when you're having foreign investors into your public education areas, there's a problem with that. I mean, there's obviously some influence they have on curriculum, on who gets hired, stuff like that. If they're giving money to you, there's a reason. They're just not doing it for shits and giggles. There's always a reason behind giving money.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's been a couple people that dropped their donations, but not enough.
Yeah.
They probably just call up the Saudis. We need some more money.
And some of these big schools, I mean, like Stanford, Harvard, I know a lot of Jewish people are not donating to them.
I, to this day, do not understand how any Jewish person votes for a Democrat, because it's not like they just became anti-Semitic.
Well, I mean, it's not like, I think the Orthodox Jews are pretty right-wing. Like they vote Republican, but I think it's just the Jewish, not fully devout. They're the ones that are all.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I mean, I just don't.
I don't get why. I mean, if you had any Jewish blood in you, I mean, why would you ever be like, yeah, I guess.
I mean, you want to wipe out my family
and yeah, I'm sure when they say kill every Jew, they didn't mean me. I don't go to the synagogue that much.
So are you talking like Jews or Jews?
Like, yeah, I mean, I'm an actor, so would you kill me? I doubt it.
I mean, I make you laugh.
Yeah. Make me laugh in the camp, Jew. Hey, guys, they're not going to get separated. If there's something like that ever happens, it's not like they're going to be like, oh, well, he's a good joke teller, so, he can stay out of the camp. Well,
Well, what's scary, too, though, is if you go back to any socialist, communist takeover of a free society, that's where they start. Like that's where the movement really gets going. Is it's in colleges, and I really think, and that's what sucks is you got to get new people on the board, new presidents over these colleges, but you have to have
great reset.
Yeah, because you have to have a diversity of thought. So if someone comes up with some radically stupid idea like, yeah, women can be boys and boys can be girls, or, no, it's totally cool to want to annihilate an entire race of people that have already had that tried to them. That was fake back then. The Holocaust never really happened. Like, you need to have, and for what I don't get is like, if it's not based in fact and it's purely opinion-based shit in a college, where is there room for that in higher learning?
Well, let's just say, like, there is no way they would ever let Glenn Beck have a teaching position in any college.
I mean, they would at Hillsdale.
Well, certain colleges they would, but let's say any state university wouldn't.
No, well, shit, nowadays they can't even speak because, and that's another thing, and there's no such thing as free speech, because there's going to be conservative students at every college. Maybe not a lot, but there's going to be some there. And, like the little Jewish guy, Ben. Ben Shapiro. I think wasn't it his speech at Berkeley where they lit a light tower on fire and like maced some girl and like they literally cannot hear. And I don't get how you get to be that stupid to where it's like, no, I don't want to hear it. Blah blah blah. No, I'm not going to lie.
Don't go to it.
Yeah,
that's what I don't get.
I don't think you were invited.
I think everybody was invited, but I mean, if you don't want them there or you don't want to listen to them, just don't listen to them. I don't understand this protest because they have somebody there.
Well, and if you have such a visceral reaction to somebody's speech, that means the side that you're on can't stand up to it.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee there is a college somewhere in this United States teaching conservative philosophies or conservative, values or whatever, and it's being taught by a liberal.
Yeah.
And is being called, and they're being told that we're the devil.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's going
to be racism this, stuff, Nazi this, fascism this, even though conservatives have everything opposite of what a fascist is. Like, they want a free market.
Well, and I think when it comes down to it, it's like anything else in our current system. The only way you're going to fix anything is through monetary punishment. So colleges need to lose their donations. If you got some woke ass piece of shit corporation, don't use their services, don't go to their movies, don't go to, whatever, don't buy their shit. And that's the only way to get change started. And then you have to have diversity of thought. Have to.
The main thing to do is if the federal government has to stop subsidizing colleges.
I 100% agree.
Let the state do this fund, state funding and tuitions, and go back to smaller colleges, instead of these conglomerates that are, trying to meet a quota so they get their federal grants.
What I don't understand is how the hell is tuition so damn high when they got money coming in from everywhere?
Because when you're subsidized by the federal government, you can raise tuition because the federal government will cover it.
Well, that's true.
So you're making more money off the government. You're just making free money. That's what subsidizing is. So, I mean, why wouldn't they raise it?
Why can't they subsidize our show, Kevin?
Once the government starts subsidizing colleges is when tuition starts skyrocketing.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So, I mean,
and degrees became worthless pieces of paper. So do you think free speech is indeed dead?
I think it is in areas. I'm not saying I think there's plenty of places in the U.S. that free speech isn't dead, but you're not going to find that in a lot of even in large cities. But you're not going to find it in certain areas like.
Well, it sucks too because the main spots, that's where it's generally like.
Yeah, you're not going to find it anywhere on the news.
I mean, I guess you can talk shit to each other on Twitter now, so that's good. Or X.
Yeah, you're not going to find it on YouTube. You're not going to find it. You will find it on Rumble, where you should be listening to us. But you can listen to us on YouTube because we haven't got banned yet. But I think it's just because we don't have enough people to make money, and they just don't care.
Yeah, it's like these losers aren't going anywhere.
So, but you can find us on Rumble and also YouTube if you haven't switched to Rumble yet. Also, Apple, all the podcast platforms. So give us a listen if you haven't yet.
Just follow the little logo.
Or just let us play. Just play us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
But no, yes, free speech is dead in certain areas. It's dead in the most news. I mean, even Fox is, I would think, not even that.
The funny thing is like Fox is probably the most diverse, opinionated news you're going to get.
It's like the middle news.
Yeah.
Their opinion shows are labeled as opinion shows.
Everybody knows after 5 o'clock it's all opinion. Well, hell, the 5's opinion. But you have at least you have diversity of thought to where there's at least one Democrat on there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's dead. Certain areas, but there's also areas. I mean, I think in public life, for the most part, it's not dead.
I mean, around here, you can talk.
I can't tell you what it's
stuff.
like in New York or Chicago. I don't know.
Probably horrible.
But if one of our listeners happen to live in a large city, Let us know what free speech is like out there.
And let us know if it smells like urine like we think.
I bet you every place smells like urine that has more than 2 people.
Yeah, probably. Like,
That third guy always pisses himself.
Like he just had to wait too long and just went. Yeah, I mean, I think the funny thing is I've gotten in conversations with people that are left leaning down here, and I'm not gonna lie, every now and again we will get in a very, aggravated state, very lively conversation, but we always walk away as friends. And there's been a couple times where we almost went fisticuffs, but we always walk away as friends. It's like, you're so stupid! And I'm pretty sure that person called me a fascist.
I'm sure.
It's like, yeah, well, you're a fascist because you're dumb and you're literally a fascist. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. I think we have a lot of work to do on it. I think having diversity of speech, thought, communication, whatever, I think is good. I kind of want to do an episode too on the whole my truth, your truth bullshit. I'd like to delve into that. I think we should have a conversation.
I think we could delve into that. I think that'd be a good conversation.
So I think we'll have to do,
We're going to have 2 very different shows because my truth on my show is going to be different. Your truth on your show.
I feel like I'm wonderful in your shit. Well, I feel the same way, but opposite. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. But I think that would fall into it because that's one of those things where that was the dumbest ass thing I've ever heard in my life when I first heard that. Well, my truth is, I don't give a shit what your truth is. Because it could be their truth to them, but that doesn't mean it has to be mine. So I think that'd be a good episode. But we'll wrap that up on the main topic, and let's get into that middle of the ground section that we like to call winners and losers of the week.
In my book, you're a winner, too.
I think you're a loser.
You go first, Kevin. Remember, we're starting with losers.
Losers. Okay. So my loser of the week is the American economy. First quarter, 2024, GDP growth slowed to just 1.6%, half of what quarter 4 was of 2023. This is pretty much 50% below what people predicted. Also, at the same time, the U.S. core PCE price index soared from 2% to 3.7%, which is about half percentage higher than what they expected. Basically, we have a weakening economy and rising inflation. So eventually, the dollars are going to be worth shit, and we're going to be the peso. We're going to be down to the peso. Also, I read that by 2030, our interest on our national debt will be $3 trillion a year.
Sweet.
The interest alone will be $3 trillion.
We got a 10% fucking interest rate? Well, fuck.
Well, if our spending keeps going as it is, yeah, it's something like that, yeah.
Here's what I don't get. That should be at least cut in half over COVID, but that's just me. Okay, I wanted to ask you about that, though, too, because I agree that's a good loser because that means we're all losers. But do you think... Because I was kind of thinking, I wondered if, because there's always like a lag when you make stupid decisions for everything to catch up. Do you think this is kind of a sign of all the Bidenomics shit kicking in or coming to fruition?
Yes. Well, I think the last 2 years you can put directly on Biden. I guess his first year, I mean, you kind of say it was because of COVID.
There was an economic boom, though, because we were coming out of COVID.
Yeah, but then,
and then there was an inflationary boom because they spent so much money.
Yeah, so when all of it was when they didn't have to. So
when everybody was riding lawnmowers, and I actually needed one, I couldn't fucking get one.
Yeah,
bullshit. Hey, I'm going to use my stimulus money to buy me a riding lawnmower. Like, dude, you live in an apartment. Yeah, but I don't like to walk to the gas station.
Yeah, let's go ride I got a little cart for it so I can put my beers in it.
It's like, why don't you take your car? Because it's right across the street. That'd be dumb. I take my lawnmower.
Yeah, that way you can be like this guy.
But my loser of the week is what we've been talking about for most of the episode. That is college protesters, because most of them are too ignorant to know what the fuck they're actually talking about. And the ones that think they know what they're talking about are fucking stupid and have probably been manipulated into thinking the way they do. Then I'm just tired of fucking. Granted, it's great we have the First Amendment, and I'm fine with people wanting to bitch, but holy fuck, do we have a lot of people and a shit ton of nonstop bitching. I think a lot of the people that protest over like just the dumbest shit should really been not imprisoned, just sent off to a different country for a while and see what it's like, and then come back. Just ask that WNBA player. How do your outlook on America now?
I want you to go to fucking any Middle Eastern country.
Yeah.
And, be you. Be your flamboyant self.
I like that Babylon. I could pretty sure it's Babylon B. Did you ever see that one where they're like the blue-haired dude and they're like, oh, yeah, we support Hamas. We want to come over and help. You should come over. We're going to throw you off the roof. And he's like, oh, they're going to throw us a roof party? But that's probably exactly what happened. They didn't give a shit about you or have any respect for you. They think you're a piece of shit just like all of the rest of us. They probably think you're worse.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna be there long enough to know.
But it's amazing how, I mean, literally anytime you're watching whatever's going on, I mean, like I said, it's great that we can go out, protest our government for our grievances and not get arrested most of the time.
But what are they protesting? What I don't understand. We're not in war. Yes, we're funding Israel, but I'm sorry.
We're not really funding Israel like we are Ukraine.
No. Ukraine, that's a whole boondoggle. I still want to revisit that fucking joke of a goddamn war.
We're protecting democracy where they suspended elections.
You think Putin is such a threat? This dude can't run over a third world fucking democratic fucking nation.
Yeah, it's been 3 years going on.
The guy's not a threat. He's done. I mean, the world should be laughing at him, but yet we keep sending money. The guy can't run over Ukraine. Come on, that war should have been over in two. Look what we did with Saudi or Iraq. We basically won in 2 weeks.
Yeah, everything else is just fighting terrorism to keep the war machine going.
Well, the first time was just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The first Bush one. I mean, it was like, shock and awe and done.
I would even argue that I don't think there's a country on the planet, if we actually unleashed our military, that could last a month.
No. I guarantee it wouldn't be
that
2
includes
fucking
China,
years.
Russia. If we actually unleashed our military and let them do what they're supposed to, i.e. kill our enemy, there wouldn't be these long... The reason why there's these long, drawn-out wars is because politics got into wars.
Yes.
That's why wars fucking take forever now. Now, granted, World War took a long time because we had a lot of ass-kicking to do because we got in kind of late.
Yeah, well, I mean, wars are money makers. So, I mean, that's it. Wars make money.
Well, World War II brought us out of the Great Depression.
Yeah, that's when people were like, hey, got an idea. Let's just keep getting into wars and keep making money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, yeah, I think, especially these specific college protesters right now, almost all of them, because they have no worldly experience and they're just showing their uppity privilege by going around and bitching. I don't have any real problems of my own, so I'm going to go bitch for somebody else.
Let's just be real. They should have shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Either that or allow yourself to have a conversation with the opposite side.
Yeah. Just actually talk to a Jewish person without stabbing them in the eye.
Yeah. I mean, that might have been an accident, but she definitely got stabbed in the eye.
I'm just saying, yes. Maybe less stabby, more talky.
Who's your winner of the week, Kevin?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
For 2 different reasons. He was hit with that gag order. Then immediately after he got the gag order, he immediately went after the judge, how cold the courtroom was. He just bitched about everything he was not supposed to bitch about. He's like, yes, the judge is garbage. The judge, he should recuse himself, all this shit, Then my second one is the tweet he sent out last night, or I guess Wednesday night would be the time he sent it out. Wednesday, I don't know, whatever the day it was. the Wednesday before you were listening to this. But this is the tweet sent out. Wow, former AG Bill Barr, who let a lot of great people down by not investigating voter fraud in our country, has just endorsed me for president, despite the fact I called him weak, slow moving, lethargic, gutless, and lazy. And he said, then he quoted that was in the New York Post. Based on the fact that I greatly appreciate wholeheartedly his endorsement, I am removing the word lethargic from my statement. Thank you, Bill. MAGA 2024. So he still thinks he is weak, slow moving, gutless, and lazy, but not lethargic anymore. So,
well, he's definitely a rhino.
The guy's funny. I mean, Trump is just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta love the guy because he
sure as hell doesn't act like a normal billionaire.
He does not. He's hilarious. It's like, fuck it.
That's why people like him. He's got this weird power to be relatable.
Yeah. So Trump's. I saw also today. I saw was it the Union in not Davenport, but Union in New York? He visited a bunch of union people, pipe fitters and shit.
Yeah, he stopped by a job site on his way to court.
And I guess they had a vote and 3-1. It was like a 3-1 count that they want the union people wanted to put their support behind Trump.
That'd be cool if you got New York unions behind him. I don't think he's got a chance of winning it, but you never know. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think he had a chance of losing 2020 either, but
well, technically, I don't think he did.
What are your thoughts on since you're talking about Trump and he's your big winner? What are your thoughts on people like Steve Deace and his cohorts? Where Deace said he's unless something bad happens, he's voting for Trump. His sidekick and his producer aren't sure; they don't want to vote for him. And it all has to do with his fourth year and COVID. It's like, and the biggest thing is Trump did make a lot of mistakes his last year. I'm not going to say that he wasn't directed to make a lot of mistakes because, I mean, at this point, if you're that pissed off at him, you're definitely armchair quarterbacking it.
Well, I mean, I think it's the fact that he never
apologized.
He never apologized. He still, for the longest time, he still said how well the vaccine worked.
I think there's a way that he could apologize for that, though, and
save face.
Yeah, and I think that would go a long way with a lot of people.
He could have been like, I thought, we did it. I thought it was going to be this great, I was assured it was going to be this great thing. I'm so, it turned out, it didn't do what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't what I was told it was.
I was fooled just like everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that humanizes him, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I think that'll go a long way with people. I mean, he took our advice on the abortion stance, so.
He did.
So you never know.
So, I mean,
maybe he's a listener.
Yep. It's up to the states.
And that's the way it should be. So, I don't know.
Yes. I don't understand why people keep trying to make it like, the federal government should get in on this. They shouldn't.
Yeah, I just can't believe that Biden made the sign of the cross while the DNC chair was talking about killing babies. It's like, what the fuck? Maybe I don't know. I don't understand.
I hope you burn in hell, you old bastard. I mean, come on. That's just you might as well just done it upside down.
Well, and the fact that he hasn't been excommunicated from the Catholic Church, and any of these local churches,
it shows you how weak the Catholic Church is.
I think churches in general. I think we should do an episode on the Christian religion in the United States.
Oh yeah, all churches.
But our country was based on Christian values, so I want to have a conversation on where that's gone and where we're at.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do an episode of that, and we're not going to remember any of these.
No, because I go back and I write them down later. Oh, that's how I remember this one. I have a list on my phone.
Okay, you finally remembered to do that.
Cool. Yes. My winter week is just the Republican lawmakers, like the Speaker of the House stuff, staying with the theme of the show, coming out and actually wagging their finger, like, you naughty boys and girls, at these protesters, and really just saying what they're doing is sick and basically fucked up. One of the New York Republican congressmen, he basically went off on him. I thought it was great.
Well, I mean, come on. These people are animals. I mean, they're if you're an animal, if you're protesting for animals.
Well, and it's nice because
And not like a good, nice doggy, like a rabid fucking hyena that eats babies.
yeah. Well, and it's funny though because it's not funny, but like the wavering, rock solid support that Biden shows, it's just nice that at least, like, especially right now, Israel can see, well, not everyone in the United States is abandoning you, even though, like, these protests have made world news. Like, I guarantee you, no one actually has any real respect for the United States anymore.
No, we're a joke to the world, but we're still a superpower, so they gotta have some respect.
You gotta put up with our dumb, because we got big bombs.
That's because every so often we make a mistake.
That's right. Well, that wraps up the winners and losers of the week, Kevin. So let's get on to the happenings of the week. Got anything you want to talk about?
I don't think I really do. Other than the stuff you got written down. So
yeah, I got. We already kind of discussed the 2020 Summer of Love remake that's going on right now.
Yeah,
pretty well covered that. We did pass the $90-some-odd billion foreign aid package, and I heard Mitch McConnell saying, well, $94 billion isn't a lot of money for us, but, for other people, that's generational. Literally said that, if you could understand what I said.
Yeah, no, I heard you. And $91 billion is a lot, period.
Yeah, it is a lot of money, especially when you're in fucking debt.
You know how much shit they gave Trump for trying to get $5.6 billion for a fucking wall that would be fucking magical right now? They were saying, you could give $1,700 pay raise to every teacher in America. That was one of their arguments because, for $5.6 billion. Now they're saying like $91 billion, they're burying the top in the bucket. That's barely anything. Yeah, when you're fucking spending $9 trillion, yes, it is barely a fucking drop in the bucket. But we shouldn't be spending $9 trillion in the first fucking place. So just throwing over $91 billion is a large amount of money. I don't care who the fuck you are. $91 billion. Ask Elon Musk if $91 billion is a lot of money. He'll be like, yes, because it's more money than I have.
No, it's not.
He doesn't have.
He's worth like $300 billion.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, then. Well, still, okay. It's 1/3 of his fucking money.
It's still a lot of money.
Yeah, it's still a lot of fucking money.
I just couldn't believe that asshole said it. See, and that is proof that we are not Republican loyalists because I do not like a lot of Republicans.
I don't like most of the fucking Republicans. I bet you I like 12 people in the House and Senate.
I will say that Marjorie Taylor Greene's getting a little annoying, but...
Oh, my God. I heard her that fucking Mike Johnson bullshit.
Yeah.
I get it, but what are you going to do? I mean, I don't like it either.
I don't like it. I like her moxie, and I agree with her on a lot of stuff, but it's like what the Republicans don't need right now is turbulence. That's the one thing that
fighting.
Well, yeah, that's the one thing that you can look at the left and be like, you know what? At least they walk lockstep.
Yeah,
they figured that shit out. Republicans, and I get it, we're independent people, but if you're wanting to make change, you need to get your shit together.
Yeah, find a way to make change. Get together and talk.
What did you think about Biden's his version of "there's good people on both sides"?
I don't remember that. His was even worse.
His was way worse.
Yeah, he's like, the pro-Hamas people. There's good people over there. Like, there isn't a good pro-Hamas person. There isn't.
No.
I'm sorry.
Well, and the fact that that doesn't work too is because like I said, I think their protests, if they really cared about Palestinians, they would be calling on Hamas to give up the fucking hostages.
Control.
And stop using people as human shields. They don't say any of that.
No.
Everything that's happening right now is because of Hamas. And they don't mention Hamas other than, we're with Hamas. Ah!
Yeah,
did you hear about that? I think this is actually kind of an old story, but it was like an open letter from, I guess, a bunch of college kids where they're basically supporting Osama bin Laden. And they're like, yeah, I can like totally understand why 9/11 happened because like
Yeah, because
basically
they're anti-American.
America's the terrorists.
Yeah. See, this shit's ridiculous.
So intellectual.
This is the fucking shit that you get with these fucking weird ass fucking professors who hate America anyways, who, without America, they'd be fucking broke, sucking dick on a corner. So,
that's graphic.
It's just how I feel.
Yeah, you feel inappropriate is what you feel. Well, the TikTok sale or ban was passed. I don't know if Biden signed it. It did pass the House and Senate, though.
Yeah, I think it does need to be sold. I don't believe you should ban anything, really, but obviously if it's...
They're not banning it, though. They're like either you take it out of our foreign adversaries' control to where they have zero control over it, or we're not going to let you use it in the United States.
Yep.
And they're basing that on Intel.
Yeah, so, I mean, I get it, and they should. But, I mean, I think selling it would be awesome, but...
There was another app that I heard they had to do the same thing, and it was a Chinese-owned...
Temu.
No, but
I thought it was that Temu that I always get fucking ads for.
Those should definitely be banned. That was a social media site. I can't remember what the hell it was called. I think it started with a G. But they had to do the same thing. They didn't ban them, but they sold. Starts with a G.
What the fuck starts with a G?
I don't know. I've never heard of it before. Sounds stupid.
I don't know.
You wouldn't probably heard of it because it's stupid. But it was a Chinese-owned social media platform. I don't know if it was like TikTok or not. But they had to sell. They were going to remove them from the United States, so they sold it to a U.S. conglomerate or whatever. So, like I said, I think it's fucking weird. Like, granted, I'm with you. I don't think the government should be banning shit. I do understand. I do get the whole thing. With
I think it's national security and shit like that.
I get that.
Yes, I agree.
But I don't get people's like visceral. I guess people make money on TikTok and shit somehow, but it's like
they do.
Y'all are fucking pathetic.
I mean, there's people who make millions of dollars on fucking TikTok.
Well, we don't. But just to be like...
Well, to be honest, we haven't put out a new TikTok in fucking a year.
That's true. I don't have a lot of time to make them. No, but like, I just think it's weird, like, especially the users. They're like, oh my God, I can't live without TikTok. It's like, oh my God, how pathetic.
You're almost done with your job. You're going to have plenty of time here for a little bit.
Oh, a little bit. Maybe we'll... Well, you're not allowed to fucking put them all out at once.
No, I'll just put them out once a week. Kind of like I did with the Preacher Kev.
Yeah, that way we can... Because I don't have the Chi-Coms on my phone, Kevin. You do.
I do. I don't give a shit.
They watch you.
What are they going to do? Get my bad credit?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Get in there. It's like, oh, I'm going to buy a new boat. No, I'm not. He's got the bad credit.
He's got the bad credit.
I don't know why I think Asian people would have a Middle Eastern, not Middle Eastern.
Borat type of.
Yeah. But, whatever. Well, that kind of wraps up the happening of the weeks. So you know what that means, Kevin.
It's my favorite segment of the show.
That's right. The white slur of the week.
What's a honky?
And this week's white slur didn't have a whole lot of a description to it, but I will kind of talk about it a little bit because this one is a little different. Is wick, which is a
WIC.
WIC, wick, which means white Irish Catholic, which kind of seems like it's a double racial slur because
like a triple.
Actually, yeah, it's two racial slurs and a religious slur. All in one, because they use it in a derogatory sense. And back in the day, I don't think it's as bad anymore, but back in the day, people hated Irish people. I don't even know why. There's a big beef with the Irish.
The red hair, man.
I guess they were treated horribly.
They were treated really bad. Like when they got off the boat, people were throwing rocks at them and shit.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, go back home, you blarney bastard.
Well, and that's why. And part of my family came from Ireland, so like I don't get all butthurt and offended that they threw rocks and call them potato pickers or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, it's weird though that people didn't like it. So it's just another example that the country has gone through growing pains, and we've just made probably the best improvements in any country or government in the history of the world in the time that we've made it.
That is so weird, though. Like at that time, yes, racism was pretty prevalent, but I mean,
basically, Americans back then hated everybody.
Who's whiter than a fucking Irish person? I mean,
possibly a Scottish person. I don't know.
Maybe, but I mean, they're both about the
same. They literally hated everybody. It was funny because they needed immigration really bad back then. Not so like today where we need them really bad so they can vote for Democrats. And they just hated Asians, everybody.
Oh yeah. You got off that boat, you're getting yelled at. Like I swear to God, it's weird because
all right, boys, the boy came in. Get your rocks and your racial slurs ready.
Who just waits for a fucking boat to come in to throw a rock at someone? I mean, come on. What else? I get it. You don't have TV, so you're just like, I'm gonna wait by the harbor with my good rock, just in case one of them wicks come on through.
One time I got there and there were no rocks, so now I keep a basket right next to the pier. I'll get you back.
I got my name on it. You'll be taking my rock basket.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is the white slur of the week, wick.
What's a honky?
Well, Kevin, unless you got something else, I mean, I think that was a pretty good show. We've gone over an hour today, so.
We sure did.
So, not bad. So, you got anything else?
Nope.
Other than make sure to visit our merch shop and buy our shit. But until next week, I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
And this has been another totally bodacious, awesome, tubular, over-the-top, kick-ass episode of the Lost Art of Common Sense.
Common Sense!
Common Sense!
Common Sense! Buy our shit!
I'll see you next week, everybody.